You're listening to Pombo and Peter's Picks, the home of your favorite sports betting podcast. Presented by The Daily Goat.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pombo and Peter's Picks. I'm Jason Pombo, joined as always by Peter Alves. Peter, how we doing today? It's a damn good episode we have.
College football. Yay. It's my favorite episode, probably behind the Super Bowl. Not even gonna lie.
Really? So, I think Super Bowl preview with like all the prop bets is probably our best episode. But I do like previewing week one of the NFL season. That's up there for me. And then the college football episode's right there. I would put that up right there. Peter, we've been killing it. I think our NFL breakdowns by divisions were pretty good. So check that out on YouTube. If you haven't seen them or listened to them, check that stuff out. I know we were running numbers on YouTube, right, Peter?
Here we are. Shout out to Tina.
Yes. And catch next week, Peter, we're going to break down NFL awards. So that'll be fun. But this week, Peter, no NFL news for you. I'm sure you could be thrilled for that after being stuck talking about NFL for the last 6 weeks. Does that make you happy?
I mean, no, this is still football, but I mean, it's like real football. So I don't care anymore.
Whatever. Nothing makes you happy,
It's
Peter.
like 27 weeks of like straight football or whatever it is.
Pretty much, but it is underway. So without further ado, just as we had last year, we're going to bring on Brandon Carr of Rough in the Basket, we call him our college football guru. He is supposed to give Peter some good college football picks, whether it's game picks, whether it's Heisman picks, college football playoff picks, whatever it is. Whatever Carr says, Peter takes as gospel. So, Carr, you came up flat last year for Peter's Heisman pick. We can't have 2 years of shit in a row. We need to get back on top. So, without further ado, Brandon Carr, how we doing, man?
Doing great. Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty disappointed towards you, Peter. I mean, it started with our guy DJ Ukulele, who I think now is with Oregon State now. So hey, maybe there's an opportunity there for him. But yeah, it's been rough, man. I'm hoping this is the year. 3 times a charm.
Yes,
It is.
I totally agree. I agree, and I think Carr is gonna hit this out of the park. So, college football week number 0 starts this week. So not every team is playing, but we have some good games going on. Caleb Williams and USC are suiting up. If you're local, the UMass Minutemen's are suiting up. So
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, we got some games to talk about. A lot of exciting. So this particular episode is going to be a little bit of an overall, I guess, preview of the college football season. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, Peter, I'm going to ask you this question first because I'm expecting a fun answer. What is your favorite part of the college football season?
So this one. Oh, actually, in hindsight, it's when the college football gets or playoffs gets picked, and then everybody bitches and moans about 5 and 6, and they're like, "Oh, why'd Alabama get in?" Something I don't know, but yeah.
That's a good one. Carr, what's your favorite aspect of the college football season?
That is a good one. That's a really good one. I didn't even think about that. Mine, I am gonna go with rivalry games, and that's something that I know we're going to get into probably next with the realignment in college football, but this might be the last year that we really get to see some big rivalries. And, that's kind of like one of my favorite parts of college football, obviously with Texas and Oklahoma's game and the Red River Shootout, the Iron Bowl, the game, Michigan, Ohio State, always super fun. And I think the fans, like, the crowd is what makes it super electrifying. I really want to go to one of those games one day, especially like Ann Arbor where they can house 100,000 people. I think it's crazy. So I think just rivalry games, any games where there's a ranked team going up against a ranked team and, the spots, there's a lot of implications of where teams can get ranked after that game. Like anything like that, any like those big game feels are just, there's nothing that beats it.
So I had 2 answers for this question. One, Carr summed it up perfectly. Rivalries, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, whatever it is, Oklahoma, Texas. I think all that stuff is great. And my second answer would be College Game Day on ESPN. And I grew up watching that, and it's an absolute classic. I watch it pretty religiously every Saturday. I remember back in college, like if we had a party or whatever at our suite on Friday, Saturday morning we'd wake up and have that on, and Carr would be sitting there getting ready for it. But that's my favorite. Pat McAfee, he's new to it. He's on the show for this will be the second year on it. Lee Corso's coming back. He's in his mid to upper 80s, but he's
Guy's
a
a legend,
classic.
man.
Guy's a legend. But no, I love College Game Day. It's one of the best programs I think they have on ESPN, and I'm looking forward to that. They actually added Stanford Steve to that. I don't know if anyone saw that. Stanford
didn't see
Steve's
that,
the
no.
guy on SVP show.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
Right.
So he's going to be the
That's
new
pretty
betting
sick.
guy. Yeah. So I guess they used to have that guy Bear, but I think Bear went to
Yep.
Fox or something like that. So yeah, those are my two favorite aspects of college football. But look, I love it. Like Carr was just saying, I want to go to Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn. Like I want to have. Me and my dad have been talking about it every year for the last like 10 years. It just hasn't come to fruition yet, but I'd love for it to happen soon. Hopefully soon, because I think that look, that environment is tough to replicate. I love NFL games. I frequently go to NFL games, but it feels like the college environment is something that would be totally different. Like you look at the big house, 100,000 people. You look at some of those stadiums down south, like the environment's nuts. And that is something I definitely want to experience for the first time. Peter, I know with you moving down there in DC, I mean, it's not technically the South, but you're closer to some of those rivalry games. Maybe we should take a ride up.
See. I wish that we lived in Alabama. Just so.
Yeah,
Like,
part
that's
of
a
me.
dream.
Yeah. See,
That's
all of
cool.
us, yeah, the three of us went to like Division III, like college football schools, but
Mhm.
part of me wishes like I got to experience, that like D1 feel. I think that would have been kind of cool. Just waking up and you're like, oh, we're in the SEC championship game today. Like, let's go. Like I think that'd be a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
go to like Boston College or something. I know Noah was there before. He said it was pretty sick, so that would be
Yeah.
the closest thing I can do.
Yeah, exactly. In Boston College, it feels like that's probably in the lower kind of tier in terms of environments, because it feels
Yeah.
like I wish college football was bigger in our region because you're right, Carr. It's Boston College. I know UMass Amherst is in D1 now, but
Yep.
it's I wouldn't really count them as towards of like you have to watch them. BC's a little different, but they haven't had the success and the area doesn't really care about them as much. Like you go down south and on sports talk radio, they'll be breaking down like Texas A&M and Alabama. Like that stuff kind of is how we talk about the Patriots and that sort of thing. So it's just
Yep.
different. And I wish it was a little bit bigger because I do think we kind of get cheaped out because it feels like we're the only part of like the country that doesn't really embrace college football, unless I'm wrong. But the South, the Midwest,
They
Texas,
don't
even
really
the West
have a team
Coast.
that gravitate towards
That,
it.
That's what
that's
that's the
I'm saying.
problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Like if Boston College brought in, I don't know, I don't know, if Boston College hired Nick Saban tomorrow, right? They would immediately become like a household draw. And I do think the area would care more than it does. But I guess that's difficult,
Yeah, I mean, Boston College is probably the only big prominent football school that we have here.
Mhm.
We have a lot of good party schools, but like in terms of like football programs, it's not really that strong. So
And we have great college hockey programs and stuff.
yeah, oh yeah,
BC, Harvard, the Beanpot. That's a
loaded,
great product.
loaded.
Even college basketball, like we've had pedigree. UMass, they national championship. I'm trying to think.
UConn,
UConn,
right down
PC,
UConn. Hold on.
UConn, PC, Peter's alma mater,
URI.
URI.
You all right, baby?
Yep. So like, look, like we have that, and I do think people care a little bit more about that, but college football just hasn't caught on. I hope that changes. So
Maybe
that's
one
my,
day.
yeah, that's my rant about that. But Carr kind of hinted about it. Let's talk about a realignment in college football. We talked about it last year when Carr was on, and it's pretty much went a step even further since we've had Carr on to talk about it. So just to kind of recap the changes that are going to be going on in the next couple years. Texas and Oklahoma will be joining the SEC in 2024. They're going to be leaving the Big 12 to SEC. Colorado, Arizona State, and Utah are going to join the Big 12 in 2024. USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are going to join the Big 10 in 2024. And this is recent. Like, I think this is today. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Stanford and California are going to join the ACC in 2024. So, those are the big changes that we've seen. There's some schools that I probably didn't mention or probably name, but you look at the things I kind of mentioned, right? The Pac-10, or Pac-12, I'm sorry. The Pac-12 is pretty much going to be dissolved. Losing USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, California, that's a huge hit. You look at the Big 12, losing Texas and Oklahoma, that's a substantial hit. Those two schools driving a great deal of revenue for that conference, and losing them is monumental. So I guess, what is your general feeling on it? Now, we're going to see, I guess, more competitive, conferences, for example, with the SEC, with the Big Ten, and I guess now the ACC for some extent. So how do we feel about that? I know we were sort of lukewarm on it the last year, but how do we feel after it's kind of been continuing to evolve for the last year? Carr, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth.
Minus 50 this week against San Jose State.
Tell Justin we're not even breaking down the games. I knew he was going to call because he just got home.
This guy, bro. I was like, what is that?
I knew it. I knew it. Justin is high on Caleb Williams and USC. That's his. So at the end of last year, right, me and Justin sort of made a pact, right? We were very disappointed with the Patriots last year. We were very annoyed. We felt that my blood pressure was going through the roof, and I felt like I was dying. And I was like, you know what? This was in the heat of the moment. I was like, I'm going to go die hard college football next year. I was like, screw the NFL. I didn't, of course, mean it, but I was just like, you know what? Like, Justin, we're going to pick we're going to pick a school from each conference. We're going to be diehards every week. So we did that. And Justin's number one team is USC and Caleb Williams. So he's ready for this week. But I, of course, talked myself off a ledge. I am not going to, I, of course, love the NFL more than anything, but I was last year was just a difficult year. But with that being said, back to the conference football talk. Carr, what do you think on that?
Yeah, all right. So back to this. Yeah, I mean, I kind of go back and forth. I feel like I lean that I really don't like it as much, because I think the biggest thing is, well, first of all, obviously it's driven by TV deals. And, with the Big Ten, they have that $7 billion contract with CBS and NBC and Fox, I'm pretty sure. And the SEC has a $3 billion deal with ESPN. Everything comes down to money at the end of the day. All of it's TV deals, and the Pac-12 is dead as it can get. I mean, I think that goes without question. They couldn't get the TV deal they were looking for. None of these networks are going to offer them. And I'm actually afraid it could end up happening to the ACC as well, because we already hear, with Florida State, maybe they could decide to bounce, or Clemson could decide to bounce. And, I mean, with all this money getting thrown around, like, why wouldn't they, with, I mean, a $7 billion contract with the Big Ten with CBS, NBC, and Fox through 2030 is ridiculous. But, I think it takes away the rivalries, especially, the Oklahoma and the Oklahoma State rivalry is dead at this point. They're not going to be in the same conference next year, which really sucks. And, and then I think what's good about it is, I think there's more competitive games. There's not like a lot of cupcake matchups. So I think that's good, but I mean, it really taken away from like the tradition and just kind of making it all about money and having these super conferences. The Big 12 has done a pretty decent job. They have a $380 million contract with ESPN and Fox right now, and they were able to get some schools to go over there. So we'll see what ends up happening, man. But I think the ACC might be done too eventually, right down the road. I know their deal with I think it's with ESPN's at 240, and then the CW has they have some games as well. They'll broadcast on that channel in 2026. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it overall. But there's some good things about it, especially the competitive side of things. There'll be more lucrative matchups for the teams. Obviously, their schools are going to be making a boatload more money, and the travel might suck. I mean, USC is going to have to go Midwest to play Ohio State, once they join the Big Ten conference, and there's a bunch of travel issues and things of that nature. But it's all about money at the end of the day, all about these TV deals, and that sucks, but maybe we'll get some better matchups out of it. So maybe that's the one shining star here with us.
Peter, what do you think?
I mean, as Carr said, it's all about money. It's all about money. And
All about money, man.
to your point, I mean, about the rivalries, there's just gonna be new rivalries, and then it'll be awesome. And then all the good teams will actually face good teams all the way through. It won't be just cupcake after cupcake after cupcake.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree.
Yeah.
First of all, I think you guys nailed it with the money thing. It all comes down to the dollar value, and that's what this is about. Like it or not, I understand that some of the rivalries, like Oklahoma State, it's gone. But I do think we're going to get more competitive matchups. And in one hand, I feel like Carr feels, and I'm like, oh, like this kind of sucks. Like I really enjoyed watching, the Big Ten, where it was just Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, and now you got some teams coming out west, and traveling is going to be difficult and that sort of thing. But on the other hand, like Peter just mentioned, like we're going to get some real competitive games on top of the expanded college football playoff that I believe is happening starting next year or the year after. Is it next year or the year after the expanded college football playoff?
It's next year.
Next year, right? So
Yep.
it's going to expand starting in 2024. And when you look at that, I guess it's going to give more opportunities for more teams to come out of each specific conference. For example, the SEC obviously is a power conference and usually gets 2 representatives in the college football playoffs. Well, with the expansion, it could end up with maybe 3 or 4. So, and I also think it's going to be difficult for a team like Texas and Oklahoma coming over to the SEC. You know, coming to the SEC is much different from the Big 12. And while they might light teams up in the Big 12, the SEC is a different animal. And I think you could see some early growing pains. And look, I don't want to play conspiracy theory. This might have been reported. I'm not even sure. But Lane Kiffin and, you know, him going over to USC, leaving Oklahoma, did he understand the writing was on the wall? And forgive me if I'm just misremembering, and maybe that was a reason why he left. But maybe he was like, I'm not going to deal with Alabama in the SEC. Screw that. But, I mean, I guess
Could be
that's a fair –
yeah.
It could be, you know, and I don't know if he was a proponent of staying in the Big 12 or not, but that sort of was going on. So, on the one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I don't like it. So I guess we're going to have to see it play out, and we'll see what the dollar value leads to a better product.
Yeah, I think we just need to let it play out. But I mean, you know, as someone who really likes college football, kind of seeing a little bit of the tradition getting taken away with like some of these rivalries no longer going to be happening and things of that nature, it kind of sucks. But you know, with everything comes a dollar sign, and it's, you know, there's a lot of money being thrown around here. So I guess I kind of don't blame, you know, these teams joining these conferences when they have the opportunity to. So
yeah. Any other further takes on the college realignment? I'm sure that'll be a big talking point throughout the year. And look, next year
Probably more next year.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Just enjoy it. This is the last year that, you know, we're going to have kind of a traditional college football format. It's going to really, really take a significant change next year. So,
yeah. All right. So let's start to break down this college football season, the 2023 season. Like Carr just said, last year we could see some real rivalries. So look, you know, everything's out here on the table. I'm just going to start reading the AP top 25 poll. I'm not going to go through all top 25 teams, but I'm going to go through some notables here, here in the preseason. So number 1, of course, is the reigning champion Georgia Bulldogs. Number 2, we have Michigan. 3, Ohio State. 4, Alabama. 5, LSU. 6, USC. 7, Penn State. 8, Florida State. 9, Clemson. 10, Washington. 11, Texas. 12, Tennessee. Also notable, Notre Dame is 13. Oregon is 15, Wisconsin's 19. We have Oklahoma at 20, Texas A&M 23, Iowa at 25. All right, so for the top 25 poll here, I know it's preseason, and look, we saw a team, Texas A&M. I think they were pre-poll like number 6 last year, and they went 5-7 on the year. They were like 2-6 in the SEC. They had an awful year. So look, some of this stuff is gonna work out, some of it's not gonna work out. So according to the top 25 list here, who do you believe is the most underrated team on this list? Or maybe it's a team that's not ranked. So who would you guys categorize as underrated here? So, Peter, you want to start off?
Well, my fun answer, my real answer, or a silly answer?
Surprise me.
oh God.
God only knows with you.
All right, my real answer is gonna be Florida State. Florida State is pretty good. I think they're bringing back like 90% of the people, right? They came off of a 10-win season. They're only like hard game, I think, is like Clemson, obviously, but I like
Yep.
Florida State this year. They're a little too low. I don't know how far they would go up in the preseason, but
So Florida State's 8. Okay.
that's my real answer.
Also, Florida State's got a huge game to start the season. I believe they are hosting LSU week 1, or so
Yes,
next
they
week.
do.
So
It's a big game. Yep.
that's Peter. Your pick could already be shit after 1 week. So I'm looking forward to that. Any other fun answers, or is that it? Give me all your crap here.
All right, my fun answer are the UFC or UCF Knights. Listen, they're in the same conference. Part of laugh. Are they in the same conference as TCU? Come on, and then like Dude, I've been looking up this player. It's Carr. John Plumpy. Plumpy? I mean,
Who is
Oh,
that dude?
wait, are you talking about
John Rice
on something Plumley, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. I think he played for Ole Miss before. If I'm not mistaken.
Like, he had 7 touchdowns last year in one game.
Dude, what? I
I
don't even
mean,
know position he is, Peter. You
He's
gotta
a
describe him
quarterback,
more than I
right?
already
he's a
do.
he's a quarterback.
Yeah,
Okay, so
no, I
he's
know
the
exactly what he's
quarterback?
talking about.
He did leave Ole Miss. You're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm reading up on him. A little small. All right, Peter. So that's gonna be your that's your guy. You're gonna go with UCF. Who
He's mobile. He's mobile. I know that. He's a pretty good runner.
It's gonna be Johnny Manziel.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other fun answers, Peter?
No, not yet.
All right. Carr,
right.
I'm gonna save this. Save this segment.
What? I already saved this segment. Hello.
All right, so I'll go with my underrated team. It's a team that's actually not in the top 25. Pombo, you're gonna love this answer. The UCLA Bruins, baby.
Yeah.
I think they're a little underrated. I think they're 28th, if I'm not mistaken. I know DTR is gone, which he's actually been playing pretty good in the preseason. Shout out to him, but I think they're usually a pretty good team. They're a team that wins like 8 or 9 games every year. I know the Pac-12, it's pretty tough with with Oregon and Washington and USC and these teams, but I don't know. I like what they've been able to do. I think they pretty much brought back most of their team. They have a quarterback that's coming in there, and Carson Steele, who's pretty good, and then they also have a 5-star recruit too, true freshman, if they wanted to play him and get some juice in there. But I just feel like they should at least be ranked. So when I saw, like, when I was going through the AP top 25, I'm like, where's UCLA? I feel like they have to be up there. So I would definitely have them as an underrated team. Some other underrated teams, I'll go in the same realm as Peter with picking Florida State, but not Florida State. I'm going to go with Penn State. That's like right there with them at 7. I think they're pretty underrated this year. You guys will kind of hear why later on, but I do really like Penn State this year. I think they have an elite quarterback finally, hopefully in Drew Aller. They have a great running game. I think their offensive line's really good and their defense is really good too. I think Penn State's being a little bit slept on. I know they're 7th, but I do think they're going to make some noise. And yeah, I think those would be like my 2 underrated teams, I think.
Tell you what, I knew you were going to go with the Penn State one. You told me about it a couple weeks ago, but
I really like Penn State. I really do this year.
Yeah, UCLA was surprising to me. I was not expecting that from you, but you know what? I will take it. I really will take it.
They're outside the top 25, man. I just feel like they got to be up there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just, if they can fill DTR's shoes, who actually, this is also something that broke a couple minutes before we started. DTR is going to be quarterback 2 in Cleveland. They just traded Josh Dobbs, so.
Yep.
Look at that, Carr. I'm going to go a little unorthodox. I mean, for me anyway, but I'm going to go with Oregon. They're ranked 15. Look, Bo Nix is somebody that's been around for a while now. He's going to be on his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 consecutive years, but I'll tell you what, I like what I saw from him the last year. I thought Dan Lanning did he did well. He stepped in last year as his first year as the coach. They won 10 games. I like Oregon a lot at 15. Look, I think the Pac-12 is going to be a very exciting conference. Of course, with USC and Caleb Williams, Utah's of course up there. Like Carr just mentioned before, UCLA, Utah. I don't know if I just mentioned that. Washington.
Yep.
I think it's an exciting conference, but I think Oregon's a team everyone's sort of sleeping on a little bit. The offensive line was great last year. I know they lost Adrian Clem, who moved over to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez, again, another Patriot who was a great corner for them. But look, I just like Bo Nix this year. I really do. I'm not sure why, but I honestly think he played well at times last year, and I could see him kind of clicking and Oregon being a little bit of a surprise team. I think Dan Lanning has that program going in the right direction. That'd be my underrated team.
You just love DJ Ukulele.
That's Oregon State, dude.
Oh, wait. All right. The same
Two
thing.
different.
Two different.
Bo Nix has had a crazy story, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he really has. Like a lot of expectations with him in Auburn, and it didn't really work out. And played pretty well last year for Oregon, so
he did.
I like that pick.
I think he could take a real step. I really believe that. All right, let's talk a little bit overrated. So we just talked about our underrated teams. Let's talk overrated. Doesn't have to be in the top. I assume the overrated team will be in the top 25 here, but Peter, let's get yours over with. Overrated. I'm ready for it.
Ohio State. Ohio
Ooh,
State.
I am shocked.
You're
I
kidding
think-
me.
That's your team.
Coming from you?
No,
That's
I
your
think
team.
Ohio. No, listen, they got absolutely exposed last year in the playoffs,
Wow.
and I don't think they're gonna go undefeated anymore. And I think they're gonna. Well, I'll save that for later. But no, I don't think they're gonna run the table. I think Michigan's just gonna stop them no matter what, and I don't think that's gonna be enough.
Wow. Any others?
I mean, I'll put Deion Sanders team, but somebody will talk about that.
Colorado.
So, yeah,
Oh,
That's an
God,
easy
done.
one.
somebody to talk about that. So I'll leave that where it is. But Ohio State.
Wow. Carr, what do you think?
I actually agree with Peter on Ohio State too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see college football playoff on this team. And I think they're gonna finish third in the Big Ten behind Penn State and Michigan. I just losing CJ Stroud's tough. And, I know Marvin Harrison's gonna go ballistic this year. He's fantastic. Mika Ibuka's great. They lost 3 starting offensive linemen. That's really tough, especially with their 2 tackles in their center. They lost all 3 of those guys to the NFL. And they lost a little bit on their defense too. So I'm just not like Kyle McCord. He's kind of unknown. He's been in that system for a while. Maybe he ends up being good, but I mean, I'm not super sold on Ohio State, and them being the 3rd ranked team in the country. I'm not really high on that. Another team, which is this is blasphemous that they're in the top 25. Why is Texas A&M getting the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, you just.
Why are they in the top 25? They were horrendous last season. And they freaking hired Bobby Petrino to be their offensive coordinator. Bobby Petrino is their offensive coordinator. That guy has such a massive baggage of crap with him. When I saw that, I couldn't believe that Texas A&M was in the top 25. They really overrated them. I just don't think they're not going to be a team that's going to get ranked this year. So I'm going with Texas A&M. It's just I don't know how in the world they're in there, but yeah,
I tell you what, I have 3. I'll start with Carr was just saying that was Texas A&M for sure. 5-7 last year, 2-6 in the SEC. Overrated from the jump, and all of a sudden the voters want to give them the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Oh, maybe last year was an outlier." I don't know. To me, that's kind of crap. Being ranked in the top 25, they have no business being there. They should have to earn their spot. You know what I mean? It did not feel like it was earned, especially coming off that disastrous season. That Jimbo Fisher, some coaches in his position would get fired after that blasphemous of a year. It was terrible. A couple others, Peter mentioned it. This isn't anything to do with the polls, but this is just how people are betting, is Colorado. Deion Sanders out in Colorado. They're the most bet on team in college football. I believe that there's 88% of the money in college football is going towards their over and their win total, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, you had to have your head in the sand if you didn't watch Colorado last year. I think they won 1-11. And look, Deion Sanders, he's a guy with a big personality. He's got some potential. He had some success over at Jackson State. But look, it's going to take some time for him to put his own program in. And even some of the guys he's bringing over, it's from D1 like AA, and it's going to take some time. And the roster itself was already really, really bad. And talk to me in 3 years about Colorado, probably more likely 5. Like saying that this year they're going to win like 6 games or even be competitive for a spot in the college football playoff, you're out of your mind. Like, Peter, I remember we were talking about this probably a month or 2 ago, and I thought if Colorado was to win 4 games this year, they should do like backflips. Like, I think that'd be a huge success for them. Going from 1 win to 4, I think that's a real success for them. And Deion Sanders might not think it is, but the media, the bettors might not think it is, but the reality is the team is just not very good right now. It's just going to take some time.
I'm gonna look up their win total.
It's 3.5.
Donations. People are literally donating to sports books right now. I just can't believe people are falling for this right now. Like,
it's 3.5. Yep.
It's the first year of this guy getting this program. Like, I know he's got Travis Hunter, who people are super excited about, but like, it's not all just gonna fall into place in one season. There was just no shot. So I don't know what people are doing.
It's not. And like I said, if they win 4 games, that's huge success. And some people are betting them to make the college football playoff. Like,
people are out of their freaking minds if they're doing that.
Football playoffs. That sounds like my bet.
Out of their
minds. Sounds like Peter's bet. Like there is a zero. Like who'd Peter like last year? Freaking Houston. Houston had a better shot of making the college football playoff than Colorado.
Freaking
And
people, man.
I put it as like a zero. I'll call it a 1% chance they make a bowl this year. Never mind a college football playoff appearance.
People
It's
are
just
out of their minds, man. That's
totally.
insane.
And it's not an indictment on Deion Sanders, who we don't know. The jury is still out on him. But to say that, like, look with Jim Harbaugh when he came into Michigan, he had some early struggles. He was on the
Yep.
hot seat for a couple years. A lot of people didn't think he had what it takes, and he really reinvented that program. They beat Ohio State the last 2 years, and you look at it took him 4 or 5 years, to really get what he was trying to go for. And Colorado was even further back than Michigan was. I understand the conferences are different and that sort of thing, but you got to give Deion 3 years. You got to look at year 3 is when you can get 3 to 4 is then he'll have some of his recruits sort of getting on the end of like becoming juniors and seniors and that sort of thing. But no, this isn't going to work out in year 1.
If you're somebody who's betting Colorado over, or if you're so that insane to bet them for the college football playoffs, please tweet me at bcar_13 and please tell me why you think that's going to happen, because I would love to hear it. Please.
Agreed. My last, I have one more, is Iowa. Iowa's ranked number 25. They truly had the worst offense in college football last year. I don't know how or why, but I found I like the coach and overall, I like Iowa's program, but they were so putrid offensively, and I found myself betting on them like an idiot, and I did, and I lost my ass on it last year. But they kept the same offensive coordinator, who ironically enough is the coach's son. They kept him on the staff to be the offensive coordinator. They gave him a crazy new extension where it was all incentive based. Do you remember reading this, Carr?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
The offense has to be top 50 in the nation, and he gets an extra $1 million. It's a weird. Kirk Ferentz, he's had his time at Iowa, but it feels like it's just not working out anymore. And to have them ranked 25 is just. Did you watch them offensively last year? Because they were the worst team in college football, worst offensive team in college football last year.
Horrible.
They averaged like 13 points a game.
Defensively is where they make their money, but I mean, you can't be that bad on offense.
No, exactly. That's why. Look, I'm not saying they're going to be 2-10, but they're going to be 7-5, 8-4. I just don't see them being a top 25 team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think there would probably be some other deserving teams that probably would get the nod over him. Arkansas is one that I was a little surprised wasn't on the list. They had a little bit of a run last year. I believe their quarterback's returning, if I remember correctly. His name is escaping me.
KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson, yeah. I don't mind him. I thought he had some moments, some glimmers last year. I thought they would be there, and I think UCLA certainly would be more deserving to be on this list than Iowa. And even a team like Texas Tech. I'm reading Texas Tech at 101 votes. They were, I guess, technically 26.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't get the Iowa thing.
Yeah,
they're just pandering more just to Iowa there.
Yeah.
All right. So, what games, I guess, for this season are you most looking forward to? We talked about rivalry games earlier on, so I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of a repeat here. But, Peter, excite me here. What games are you most looking forward to?
Any Colorado State game and just Michigan and Ohio State. I'm telling you, I'm not in the house on Michigan.
Really? I'm shocked.
Brilliant. No,
wasn't that your guy, Marvin Harrison? Marvin Harrison Jr. Wasn't that your supposed guy?
From Carr 2 years ago. Oh wait, no,
that was one I got right because he's a monster. So
it's true.
That was one.
There you go, Carr. What do you got?
I mean, there's a lot of good games, man. I mean, look at the first week here with LSU and Florida State. I think that's a big game. You think about Alabama versus LSU. I think that is massive in Tuscaloosa. I mean, those teams are ranked right near each other, 4 and 5. That's big implications for the college football playoffs and the SEC. Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan is going to be super, super fun to watch, as it always is. I mean, Texas at Alabama, that's going to be really fun too, September 9th. There's a lot of good games, man. There's a lot of fun games.
Starting this year, right?
Quinn Ewers, shout out to Brandon Clay.
Yep, that's his guy.
And UCLA at USC. I mean, last time those two teams, well, they'll be on the they'll be playing in the Big Ten. But time those two teams play in the Pac-12, there's an Army and Navy in Foxborough this year. I don't know. Maybe I got to go to that.
I had a list right here of 5. Number 1, I had Michigan, Ohio State, of course. I do think Ryan Day could be on the hot seat-ish if Ohio State kind of plummets, like Peter's saying. Peter, I don't know. I know you're not saying they're going to like suck, but if they go 9-3 or something, or in Michigan blows their doors off, I think he could find himself on a little bit of a warmish seat. I know, of
No, I'm
course,
not
he
saying
lost.
they'll suck, but
No, I know you're not.
Be as good as.
Yeah, which is fair. So that's my number 1. Number 2, Texas, Alabama. That was an exciting game last year. I'm looking forward to that again this year. Number 3, LSU, Bama. That was another great game last year. Bama, of course, getting upset. Number 4, USC, Oregon. I'm high on Oregon this year. That is why I have that there. And number 5, Carr mentioned it, Army, Navy. That's one that's the only reason why I'm kind of having this on. It's exciting, of course, every year. But this year more especially is because it's Gillette. Very close to me and Carr. And that's a game if you're there, it's going to be a cool environment. If you're not there watching it on TV, it's still going to be cool.
You guys should
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm thinking about it, honestly. I got to look at the tickets, but
it's in November or December. Right?
I just had it up. It's in December 9th.
December 9th, yeah. But I think that's going to be a surreal scene, and it's one of the longest rivalries in college football. Like, that'll be a great, great thing. That was cool that Gillette got that game. So that'd be my 5.
Yeah.
All right. So let's before we get into Heisman and college football playoff discussions here, who's a player that you guys like that could really burst onto the scene and become like a name people are kind of talking about, whether it's the draft, whether it's a Heisman candidate, or whether it's a name just being talked about on ESPN, like somebody that no one really knows who they are now. They're going to kind of burst onto the scene. Peter, give me something good.
Mario Williams, USC's first wide receiver.
Oh yeah. No, you're
Guess
talking
you went
about
receiver. Okay, I was hoping you'd go someone from like freaking South Dakota State. You have anyone else fun?
Oh, I'll try to find one though.
Okay, great. Carr,
I got one for Peter since he mentioned this team earlier. I don't know if he knows who he is, but he's kind of, I'm not going to say he's like flying super under the radar, but I don't know if he's like that big of a household name yet. Johnny Wilson, he's a receiver from Florida State. He's 6'7", 235 pounds at receiver.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a monster. And I know last year he had like 900 yards receiving, but this is going into his senior season. I think especially at Florida State, and Jordan Travis have a huge season, he's going to be a monster. So keep an eye out for him. He'll be a guy in the NFL draft next year. I think that teams are just going to be like, holy crap, this guy's massive, and he's pretty quick too for his size. So I have him.
Oh, you have others?
I have a few more.
Sure.
Luther Burden, he's a receiver from Missouri. Really liked him last year as a true freshman. He really flashed throughout the season. He only had like 400 yards, but he's someone I really like too for the next couple of years, when I think he's eligible for 2025 draft or the 2026 draft, one of the two. Really like him out of Missouri. Domani Jackson from USC, he's a defensive back. I think he's going into his second season. Could really see him really having a breakout. I think he might have been like the number 1 high school recruit. I think it's definitely a 5-star recruit, but he could have a really big season. And then this team that I really like, Penn State, with Chop Robinson, he's an edge that I think could really pop this year too. So
I was waiting for the Penn State guy. Yeah,
those are my 4.
I have 2. And so first and foremost, look, new quarterback for Georgia under center. No one really knows who he is yet, but Carson Beck. Carson Beck is somebody that's been in the program for a couple years now, and he's going to look, he's been, of course, in a shadow, and, he hasn't had an opportunity yet, and he's going to get an opportunity. He's on a loaded Georgia roster, and look, they're going to put up 40-plus points a game. They're going to be an amazing offense, and I think he's going to be a reason why, and I think he's going to be somebody that people are going to be talking about just because I think Georgia's going to have so much success. Number 2, I mentioned him before, is Bo Nix. I think he's going to have a great year, and he's somebody that people do kind of know from his Auburn days, but I think like he hasn't reached his sort of potential yet, and I think he's somebody that people will give some thought to heading into this year. And now one more, I'm surprised Carr did not mention that Unless you did, and I just missed it. The North Carolina quarterback, Marcus May. Did you mention
Drake
him?
May. Oh, I don't think he's flying
Drake
out
May.
of. I don't think he's flying that much under the radar. But I love that kid. He's gonna be awesome.
I knew you're high on him. Drake May. I don't think he's flying that under the radar, but I do think people probably haven't seen him or watched him play yet. I think people probably know the name if they've looked at 2024 mock drafts and stuff, the guy behind Caleb Williams, but he's somebody that can sling it. And he's somebody that I think people will actually kind of tune in and pay attention to this year, especially if you're a fan of a team that is going to be in the market for a quarterback. So, look, I think he's somebody that I'm not saying he's as good as Caleb Williams, but I think he can kind of.
I think he's right there. I think he's
right
close.
there. I think he can nip on his heels and he could be an exciting player. So,
I think
he's somebody
really
that I'm looking forward to. All right, so let's talk about Heisman odds, Heisman predictions here. So I could not find the odds on DraftKings. So Peter had graciously
They're banned in Massachusetts.
Apparently, I don't know. What's going on.
Apparently we just don't have the Heisman Trophy odds here in Mass. I don't know why. I don't know what's
sure
going
why
on.
either. But I'm just going to read you some notable odds, and then we can kind of talk about guys we liked. Of course, Caleb Williams is favored from USC at plus 450. Jaden Daniels is plus 1,100. A lot of people are high on him. Quinn Ewers from Texas, there's a lot of anticipation for him at plus 1,300. Jordan Travis plus 1,400. I feel like somebody just mentioned him. Did Peter mention him?
Carr did. Well, I did.
That was me, Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the top four. Top Carson Beck at plus 1,400. Drake May, who I was talking about before, plus 1,600. Marvin Harrison Jr. plus 2,000. Just looking at the list here. Blake Corum from Michigan plus 2,800. So look, there's some guys here with some good value. Vegas, of course, loves Caleb Williams. He's very hyped up and rightfully so. So, all right, Peter, I'm very excited for your answer here. Who do you like to win the Heisman? Or if you have a sleeper candidate in mind, or who do you like?
Well, sleeper, I'll get there later. But like Kate Klubnik, no, plus 1,400. That's my actual pick. Clemson. I think Clemson is going to be really good this year. I think Clemson's like only hard game is going to be like way later or in the middle of the season. Florida State, TJ Ukulele, get out of here. Will Shipley is a good running back. Adam Randall is a good wide receiver. He was hurt a lot last year, and I've never watched them. Like I don't know how they play, but like according to the internet, their O line is pretty good. They got two of the best guards in the country. So
research from Peter. I love it. Carr, you going chalk or you going outside the book?
No, I don't pick Caleb Williams. Nobody picked Caleb Williams. He can't win twice.
He might though, because I don't know. I've been looking at the list.
That ever happened?
Is there really?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a guy that's really popping out to me that could really do it. I like your Cade Klubnik pick. I think that could definitely happen if Clemson has a good year. Michael Penix from Washington. I think he led the NCAA last year in passing yards. So he could he's someone who I think Washington's gonna be really good this year again. I think he could definitely win it. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a team that's gonna make it to the college football playoff. I have to go with one guy. I don't want to go with Caleb Williams, but he really might do it again. I know we lost Jordan Addison, but they kind of replenished that wide receiver room. And I don't know. I just don't see, in my opinion, I just don't see a name that's really popping out on the screen. My underrated pick would be Drew Aller, since I really like Penn State at plus 2,500, but I just don't really see a guy that's popping out to me right now. So I don't want to go. I really don't want to go Caleb Williams, but he could do it. I know it hasn't happened in so long, but he might.
Yeah, no, Caleb Williams, if someone's as talented to do it, Caleb Williams has that talent.
I just don't see somebody else.
If you haven't gotten a chance to watch him play, it's very, I'm not going to compare him to any NFL players, but he's a unique individual that can sling it. He can move around in the pocket. He can run. He can throw. He's crazy arm, athletic ability. He's somebody that, do you remember him? And do you like him in Oklahoma too, Carr? Or did you kind of just, you liked him in Oklahoma too?
He really, when I watched him there too, I saw something. I just saw it. So,
yeah. So if people might have seen him in Oklahoma play, and he transferred with Lincoln, of course, moved over to UFC, and he's taken his game to a new level. He's surrounded in that Lane Kiffin offense, and he's tough to bet against, but I don't want to go chalk here because winning back-to-back years means he has to do better than the previous year. He's coming off a damn good season. Look, I mentioned Bo Nix a lot. I like him. I think here's my thing. If Oregon can beat USC, they do play each other. That could go a long way when it comes to Heisman voting, especially if Bo Nix has a great season. I'll go Bo Nix. And then another one, I mentioned Carson Beck earlier. If Georgia's going to put up crazy numbers here, and if Carson Beck puts together a season in which he throws, I don't know, 40 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, he's a finalist, whether it's because of him or not, he is going to be a finalist. But
Yeah.
I'll go Bo Nix because I'm on the Oregon theme. If you want to go deeper down the depth chart here, somebody else I kind of like here. I mentioned him earlier. Drake May.
To his brother.
From Maryland, I'm not. No, I'm not going him. No, I'm not going him. Somebody else I did mention that he's very, very far down here. Would be a guy like KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, who's plus 8,000.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not as high on Arkansas as I guess I was last year. I was a little bit higher on them, but KJ Jefferson's an exciting player. So
Arch Mannon's plus 8,000. That's
I was literally just going to say that, and he's the backup, which is kind of.
He might honestly be the third string quarterback over there. I don't know right now.
And I'll give you one more. This would be my brother's pick for sure, because my brother, he has stayed very, very in this guy's camp. It's Spencer Rattler at plus 6,000 in South Carolina.
That guy, yeah.
Loves that guy. People look. He was another guy very similar to who we were just like Bo Nix. Very talked about. Kind of faltered in a couple spots and landed in South Carolina, and he quietly played well at the end of last year. I don't know if anyone's kind of looked at his stats. Carr, I don't know if you kept up with him a little bit, but
wasn't he going to be a first round pick?
First overall pick. Like he was the guy.
I was so down on him too, but I think he's really started to put it a little bit together, put some pieces together. So I'll give him credit. I'm
not saying he's going to be in the running but he is a sleeper that he to me, he looked like he put things together a little bit last year. Like Peter, he could have came out of the draft last year. He stayed for one more year to kind of raise his draft stock because he was going to be a mid to late round pick. Some people even said he wouldn't be drafted. After a majority of scouts said when he was leaving high school, he'd be the first overall pick of the draft. I know Carr hasn't been a fan of his for a while, but a lot of analysts loved him. He was the guy, and he's kind of been moved around a couple locations through a couple coaching staffs. And I don't know. I mean, can he find a little bit of what he had to work with last year? Because I saw just a little bit of some excitement with him last year. There was some flashes where I was like, okay, I see it now just a little bit, what people were kind of talking about. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but last year he did decent in South Carolina. Decent. I think he was. What did South Carolina do last year? They go 8-4, 8-5.
They had a pretty good record. Yeah.
And he was looking at his stats. He was 18-12. Again, that's nothing crazy, but I did see some flashes last year, and it felt like to me his accuracy was a little bit better. Anyone else have any Heisman thoughts? Peter, did you find another guy, or you stamped with your pick?
Well, I mean, plus 15,000. I already talked about him, John Plumpy from UCF. UCF's going to be good this year. I'm telling you.
Oh, shut up, Peter.
You're crazy, man.
Come on, please.
I got to see that ticket.
Blake Corum too from Michigan. Like I'm not super high on JJ McCarthy, but I think Blake Corum, they're gonna run the ball a ton. Like maybe he has a really amazing season and a running back wins it. But I hate going to Caleb Williams, but I just don't see anybody else that's here that I'm like they could definitely do it. Like Jaden Daniels has the second best odds. I don't know about that. I don't really too high on him.
I know everyone loves LSU this year. Everyone loves Brian Kelly, which I get. And, they started off slow, but they ended up rounding into form last year. I just to have him ranked that high up, I was a little surprised about, to be honest with you.
And Quinn Ewers, that's a big year for him. Jordan Travis.
I'm saying. It's a little unproven. Good. I know a lot of these guys we're talking about, they haven't had much. Some have had more game action than others. But it just comes down to being in the right system, getting some guys to really elevate and that sort of thing.
Did you talk about Carson Beck already?
I did. You like him, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Georgia pumps anybody out like it's nobody's business. So
Carson Beck is somebody that I just see he could go 40 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean, again, I just think that team is so good that it's going to be less on his plate. That's all.
are they still good? They lose like half their players every
They
single
just
year.
replenish, dude. That's what
They
happens
just
when
they just do it, man.
yeah, they
They're
just
factory.
replenish.
They all go to
So-
the Eagles, and then they just have to reload.
They do all go to the Eagles. That's true.
The best story, and I just noticed that he has plus 1,600 odds. If Sam Hartman were to win the Heisman with what he had to deal with the, I think he had like heart surgery. You know, he has like a heart condition, and that like had taken him out of playing. But like if that were to happen, that would be like an awesome story. If he's a quarterback from Notre Dame, he transferred from, I believe he transferred from Wake Forest, if I'm not mistaken. So
Okay.
it'd be pretty fun.
I like that car. Peter, your picks were pretty good. I was a salute to you. All right.
Awesome.
So I know we were just talking about Georgia with Carson Beck and all. So let's get into college football playoff discussions here. So DraftKings does have odds for that. So I'm going to read you just a couple of them to kind of make the college football playoff. I'm not going to go through all of them. Notre Dame is plus 550 to make it. USC plus 250. Ole Miss plus 2,500. Oklahoma plus 700. Michigan plus 100. Tennessee plus 700. Oregon plus 550. Texas plus 300. Peters, Ohio State Buckeyes minus 120. Georgia minus 270. Texas A&M plus 1,200. Carr's Nittany Lions plus 320. Alabama plus 135. Florida State plus 320. Clemson plus 300. LSU plus 300. So that's not all of them, but that's just sort of teams that some guys like. So
Dang, it's telling now. Ohio State's even. Well, not even, but like yes and
yeah.
no.
All right, so let's do this. Let's go 4 through 1. And we can all go 4, 3, 2, 1 together. Sound good? All right, I'll lead off here. My number four team here could surprise people here, maybe not. I'm gonna go with Alabama as my number 4 team.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, hell yeah! We all know it was coming, but 4 was a little low for me. I mean, Peter probably thought I was gonna have them at number 1. I do have
No,
some
I'm
concerns.
gonna take a step back too. I really do.
Look, the quarterback room is a question mark. Nick Saban has been a little hesitant on naming a starter. He was actually pissed about it when he was asked yesterday. He was like, "You'll know when I name a starter. When I name a starter." He was unhappy. So the quarterback room is a question mark for the first time in a couple years, but everyone did say the same thing when Mac Jones took over in 2021 and they won the national championship that year. So maybe I'm a little crazy here, but I do think the defense, run game good enough here. I like them. Number 4 team in the country. Peter, who's your number 4?
All right,
Oh, I'm
honorable
sorry,
mention.
Peter. Hang on. Alabama was plus 135. If I didn't mention that, sorry.
Honorable mentions because I'm not gonna be silly this year. Wisconsin, I think is pretty good. UCF is pretty good. But number 4, I already spewed it. Clemson, I think they're gonna be really good. I think they're gonna go undefeated. So they should have. Well, they didn't do it last year, but maybe they should have made it last year too.
Carr.
Penn State. I kind of talked about them already. I think James Franklin, he's been a coach that, hasn't really gotten the job done. But I just think that this team is one of the best Penn State teams he's had in a while. I really like the quarterback. I really like the running back. They have a tackle that's probably going to go top 5 in the NFL draft. They have a good offensive line, good defense. I think this might be their year. I really do. And I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten, but they'll be right behind Michigan. And I think they'll do enough. I think the committee will probably put them in. They'll have 1 loss on the season if it's against Michigan. I think they're going to do it for sure. They're definitely in.
Okay, so we're all sort of different. I had Alabama. Peter's got Clemson. And Carr, of course, has Penn State. Look, I like Penn State too. I wanted to put them in there, but I just couldn't. My number 3, this one is the biggest surprise. And I've talking about it all show. I'm going to go with Oregon. Look, it's a risk. It's certainly a risk. Oregon is plus 550, but I'm banking on Bo Nix kind of
Where's
putting
that
things
ticket?
together. You want? If
You might have
I'm
to get
allowed
a
to
ticket
bet
for
on
that.
it, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
might have to get a ticket for that. Look, I just think Oregon, I think if they can run the table in the Pac-12, they can beat USC, which I think they will. I'm picking them. I like Dan Lanning. I'm going with it. I'm taking the risk here. I have Oregon going undefeated in my number 3 team in the country. They will be this year's version of TCU, call it, but I guess it'll be a little bit stronger, I guess, than TCU because I think that conference is harder than the conference TCU comes from. So it's a risk. It's a risk, but I'm going to take it. Peter, who's your number 3 team?
Alabama. And you
Nice
already
pick. Love it.
yeah. I'll stop picking them when they start making the playoffs.
Carr, who's your number 3?
Roll Tide. I think Nick Saban's really tired of hearing this crap about the dynasty's over, yada yada yada. I've heard shows already talk about like, oh, like this is a big season for Nick Saban's legacy. Like his legacy could be
What do you
affected.
mean? Wait, really?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous because he's the greatest college football coach of all time. He's won 7 national championships. Like, what are we talking about here? But I think Alabama, they lost a lot into the NFL draft with Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs and Will Anderson, just to name a few. But I think they have a really good roster still. I think their offensive line's pretty solid. The quarterback situation, we'll see what ends up happening there, but they have a really good defense. Kool-Aid McKinstry, shout out to him. I think he's probably going to end up being the first defensive back taken next year in the draft. And they have some really good guys like Dallas Turner. I think Alabama, their big game is going to be against LSU. And I think with that being in Tuscaloosa, that's going to be really helpful for them to win that game. And, they could absolutely, if they win that game and they can kind of remain undefeated or whatnot, like they'll be in for sure.
Love it. We all got Alabama in the college football playoff, which I know we're talking about it like it's a slam dunk, but there's a lot of people out there that think this is the beginning of Alabama's demise.
Yeah.
Which is, it's crazy to me.
They had the number one, I think they had the number 1 recruiting class this year.
Of course they did. It's a factory.
What are we doing?
Seriously, like don't overthink it. I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated, but don't tell me they're going to lose more than 2 games because that's not happening. It's not. Okay. Moving on to number 2. I'm going to go chalk here. I'm going to go Michigan plus 100. I think Michigan beats Ohio State. They get in. Jim Harbaugh, who's going to miss the first 3 games of the season due to a suspension. I think this is his best team, his best roster. Carr mentioned the running back before, Blake Corum. I think he's going to have a great year. And look, I just think the defense everything is going to connect for Michigan this year. I know a lot of people said that last year, but I just think this year's team is better. And I'm looking for them to roll over Ohio State again. I think they're number 2 in the country.
And number 2, reload. Who cares? Georgia, they won back-to-back. It doesn't matter. That's all.
Easy.
Their defense.
You got Georgia number 2?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. I think that's a little bit of an odd take, actually.
Yeah. Really?
It
A little bit.
really is. Dude, they're minus 270 to make the playoffs. That's
I'm
unheard
still
of.
making
I
the
respect
playoffs.
that.
They'll probably
have
win
you
the whole
seen-
thing. It doesn't
Have
even
you
matter.
seen Georgia's freaking schedule? Holy shit, man.
Dude.
They're not
Yeah,
losing to
they don't want
anybody.
to. They don't want to real
So
test
easy.
like mid.
They're not losing to anybody.
No,
That's
they're
why
all
I think that
even.
quarterback is going to be a Heisman finalist. He's going to put up 500 yards a game, man. Or not 500 yards. We know what I mean. But Carr, who's your number 2?
Michigan. Yeah, I mean, with Jim Harbaugh getting suspended for the first 3 games, it's not going to really matter. They're playing some really bad teams in that schedule, and like you mentioned, I think this is one of the best rosters, if not the best roster they've had throughout their Jim Harbaugh era. They've been in the playoff for the last couple seasons. I think this is going to be their time to really, really make a push here. And, if they're going to, we'll see if they end up winning it, but they got a really good team. We can't really dispute that.
Number 1, I know me and Carr will be unanimous. Peter is not so much, but I'm sure Carr's taking Georgia, as am I.
Yeah.
Look, and I think it all has to do with Georgia's schedule to me. Georgia, look, I just said they're minus 270 to make the college football playoffs. They are playing cupcake after cupcake after cupcake after cupcake. And they're going to go 12-0. They're going to win the SEC championship, and they will be the number 1 team in the college football playoff. Kirby Smart, he's done a great job. And one thing that I guess is slightly notable, they lost their offensive coordinator. He's now the offensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens now. So I guess that's, my slight concern, I guess, but I'm not worried about it.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out, please. They are.
I hope they lose to TC Martin though, or TN Martin though.
I want to see that ticket.
No,
Insane.
So Peter, who's your number 1 team? I think I know who it is.
Michigan. Yeah, there you go.
And
And
Carr?
honestly, like, I think to just talk about Michigan there, I think it's a decent case though if they were to be the number 1 team, in the fact where
I think they're getting a lot of people back.
like they have to play.
back
I think they
back.
play Penn State. I'm pretty sure they play Penn State. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I know they
they
have to
play
obviously
Penn
play
State
Ohio State, but
November 11th, and then that's
So-
really it.
Yeah.
so like maybe, but I just think it's going to Georgia.
Well, Michigan's path would be they go undefeated. They go 12-0, right? They win their Conference championship. They need Georgia probably to, let's say they'll play Alabama in the SEC championship. And let's say Bama has 2 losses and Georgia's undefeated. And maybe Bama wins that game, and that would give Georgia a loss in the SEC title game. And maybe you have Michigan leapfrog them. That's the only path I see. I don't see another way that, unless Michigan blows Penn State up by 40 and Ohio State by 40. Even then, I still think people would say, well, Georgia's winning by 50 because that's what's going to happen.
I know it was TCU, but my God, that national title game was
That's awful.
It was just a slaughter. Like, I've never seen anything like it in that type
Great
of
over though. It
situation.
was a great
Did
over.
anyone bet on TCU? I don't think anyone did.
No, I thought it was
I
going
did.
under for sure, but
Oh, you did, Peter?
No, I didn't. No.
Was I on the over under? Me and Carr, what were we in the under?
I was
on the
under.
over, sure.
I was on the under and Peter was on the over. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, that was.
Damn.
Life's too short to bet the under. Come on.
I know. Except for the Super Bowl 53. Right, Peter?
There you go.
Shut up.
Peter's still mad at me because of that. All right, so who wins this thing, right? Who wins the college football playoff here? Peter, who you got?
I have Michigan. That makes my case even better. I mean, Georgia's not tested until what? SEC championship game? Does that matter? But I have Georgia and Michigan. And
Okay.
fine.
Carr?
It hasn't been done. I looked this up. Want to take a guess when the last time a team has gone for a three-peat in college football?
Ooh, 3P. I'm going to guess.
1937.
That actually might be spot on. Did you look that up?
Yeah.
I'm
No.
pretty sure. I know it's pre-World War II. That's what I read. It's
Oh,
been
nice.
freaking so long since that's happened. But like Georgia really might have like the best chance to do it. I'm gonna go with Georgia. I think they're gonna do it. Caleb Williams winning the Heisman. Let's just get crazy for this last normal season for college football.
So you have Georgia over who?
Michigan.
Okay. So we all got the same game, but I'm gonna lean Peter here. I'm gonna go Michigan over Georgia, and I feel better about that after hearing Carr's World War II stat that no one's won since freaking 1937 or whatever.
Insane.
That makes me feel a little bit better about Michigan. But I think this is their time. This is how things are gonna work for them. I think we're gonna see that game. Michigan's gonna be like 12-point underdogs. Me and Peter are gonna hound that line.
I'm
Michigan's gonna
hounding
win for
that.
us.
Well, if it's Michigan and Georgia, I'm hounding whatever the plus. Whatever.
Okay, if they played today, Georgia would probably be at least 10-point favorites.
Yeah, for
It'll
sure.
be closer than 12.5 points, though, I think, without question.
At least 10. I think
Michigan
10.
spread at the over. That's the parlay ticket right there.
That's the parlay ticket for 6 months from now.
There you go.
Whatever it is, give me any number. It doesn't even matter.
There you
Boom.
go. Keep it in the receipts.
All right. So one thing. So before we wrap up here and do 5 questions, I was surprised nobody had USC. Now I'm not surprised no one had Ohio State because no one, I guess, likes Ohio State. But nobody had LSU, which I was a little surprised about, and nobody had, like I just said before, nobody had USC.
I'm
Any
gonna
reason why?
use the schedule as a dog sign though.
Okay. And what about USC?
I don't know. They
Defensively,
Yeah.
that's-
defensively, they're just
they
That's
should
not-
have made it last year, right?
they were
I
right
see.
there. They
Right,
were
on
close.
paper. Yeah, I don't know.
Who they lose to? Was it Utah they lost to?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Utah.
I bet USC for that game.
Utah was the team last year I had making to the college football playoffs, and that died.
Oh my
the
God,
first
you're
game
right.
of the season.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to Anthony Richardson.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, yep. So
Yep.
last year, Carr was high on them. The year before was the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yep.
And this year it's Penn State, the Nittany Lions.
Yep.
I gotta send that message over to Justin because he will follow you.
Yeah, well, good. He's gotta know about them, man. I know it's been a while, and they haven't quite mailed it in yet, and really haven't punched their ticket to the college football playoff. But I really like this team this year, and I think James Franklin there's a lot of pressure for him to get it done.
Fun fact about James Franklin: he spent a day actually at Patriots training camp. He did a whole day. He sat in on the meetings and all that sort of thing.
Shout out.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Hopefully, he
'cause
got some notes from Belichick.
Yeah, because now there's a little bit of a Patriots Penn State tie with, of course, O'Brien and you
Yep.
look at Gesicki, Trace McSorley still
Yep.
over there. I think there's a third. I could be forgetting, but
Penn State Patriots. Ooh, I don't know.
I thought there was a third I read. Maybe I'm wrong, but I definitely, of course, McSorley, who was a big name, and Gesicki.
Yeah.
So, all right, time for 5 questions, Peter. You pumped, Peter? You want to ask question 1 to Carr?
I got this question 1. All right,
All right.
question 1. You're a huge Immaculate Grid guy on Rough in the Basket's TikTok page.
Yep.
1A. All right, question 1A. This relates. Are you on the full leading charge of getting them college football Immaculate Grids? Surprised it's not on there. Oh, it's
I
not on.
mean,
All right.
I mean, like they would have to, like the whole like team, like they play for 2 different teams thing could be really tough because I
Oh,
mean they
yeah.
would have to transfer. So maybe it would have to be like stat related, I guess. Like oh, like this guy, like Alabama Heisman Trophy winner. Like maybe they can do something like that, but it would be kind of tough, especially like the team and team thing. That's difficult. And there's been a lot of college football players that have
Then
played
1B. Do
way more than NFL players.
you play any of the other one, or is it just football?
Basketball. And if I see a Red Sox one on the
dabble in it.
baseball one, I'll do that one.
Oh, it was a Red Sox like Pirates yesterday. I was like,
Rich Hill, that's what I guess.
Pedro Siriaco.
Shout out Frank the Tank, by the way.
Yeah, facts. He's nasty.
Yeah.
I got
Nasty
Peter.
at it.
I got Peter into the Immaculate Grids. I got him in it. I don't know, Peter. You still do them every day?
No, I do remember that. Yeah.
What'd you get today?
Not
For
that good.
baseball, I got 8 out of 9, but the other sports I got 9 out of 9.
Football, I
I-
got 9 out of 9. I don't know if I did
Yeah.
basketball yet. So
I didn't
maybe
do
I'll do it
basketball
after.
yet.
Ironically enough, the football one, I had all quarterbacks.
Really?
Oh no, I didn't. I had Ha Clinton Dix. That was it.
Oh yeah. Oh, which
I
one
don't-
was that? Browns Packers?
Browns Packers. I had Seneca Wallace. Shout out Nate.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yep.
Nate loves that guy, dude.
Well, I had Seneca Wallace. I had Josh Johnson, Hoyer, of course,
Yep,
Alex
Josh
Smith,
Johnson.
Case
I
Keenum,
had Hoyer too.
Cousins.
Listen, I put
Carr.
Hoyer wherever you can.
Oh yeah,
That's
Peter
the
always
rule.
gets Hoyer.
That's
always.
the rule.
That's
And it's
the
like
rule.
5% always. I'm like, nice.
That was a good question, Peter. Question 2. Carr, I know you're a big video game guy. They're making a college football video game that's coming out. I think it's next summer.
Fingers crossed. I've
Fingers
heard
crossed.
there's been a little
So-
bit of it on that, but we'll see.
Tell me one thing you're excited about and one thing what's one feature you want to see in that game?
I would hope to God they have Road to Glory, right? I mean, that was like the most popular game mode of the previous college football games. So I would really hope they have that. I used to play that all the time growing up too, just like, like, oh, I'm a guy from Boston College. Like, let me take them to be the #1 team in the nation and win the Heisman Trophy. It's just so fun. So that's a feature. I mean, I think they'll have it, but I don't know if it'll be called Road to Glory. Maybe they'll call it something different, but they definitely have to have that. Go through high school, go through the recruiting process. Maybe some NIL money will get thrown around. Who knows?
Who knows, man? But I'm pumped for that game.
Yeah, I'm
Question-
excited.
Question 3, Peter.
Oh, do you want to do it if you have 3 questions?
Oh yeah, that's fair. I guess I'll do it. So I went video game themed. Question 1.
Mhm.
Question 3. Have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
No, I haven't, man. I've been meaning to see it. I've heard so many good things about it. I mean, there's some people who think that there's a lot of talking. I'm not going to name any people. Nothing that we know, nobody we know personally, but some celebrities out there have been saying that nonsense. Because I mean, like,
Bro, Barbie.
it's so disappointed there's no action in the movie. Like,
Like, bro, what?
It's atomic bomb.
I gotta see it though. I have to. I definitely gotta see it. Next time I'm on, I'll give it a review.
All right, bet.
So
Peter.
All right, number 4. TJ just alerted. You're a big wrestling fan. TJ
Oh,
just
yeah.
alerted us that Bray Wyatt just died.
wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
for
literally
real.
just
It's
texted us.
he's trending on Twitter. What's your best memory of Bray Wyatt? Husky Harris.
Are you?
Alright.
Wait, he actually died?
For real, not even
You
lying.
shitting me? Wait, hold
Look
on.
it up on
I gotta
Twitter.
see this. There's no freaking way. I know he was dealing with like, I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
it
don't
was
know.
mental health things or like some health stuff.
Yeah, obviously it's
died?
not why, but like, yeah, it's trending on Twitter. It's like everywhere.
Hold on. I'm spelling his freaking name wrong.
Bray Wyatt.
Oh my god,
Wow.
he did.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awful.
What's your favorite
Um,
memory of Bray Wyatt or any of his other characters?
That's awful.
Wow, that's crazy. That's probably why, because I know a couple of other wrestling fans that are probably blowing up my chat right now. Honestly, like my favorite memory of Bray Wyatt, I thought the Fiend character was really sick. Like I liked the whole like aesthetic of that. The mask was really sick. The entrance was really sick. Unfortunately, like other wrestlers would probably said that it wasn't that great because it didn't really propel their careers moving forward. But I really liked that Bray Wyatt character, and I was really disappointed. Like when he came back and had that ridiculous entrance after, I forget which pay-per-view it was, where he had all his Firefly Funhouse characters out there and there was a lot of hype, but just unfortunate. Wow. I'm just learning about this now that he passed away. That's so sad.
That's terrible. TJ texted us like 20 minutes ago. Awful.
Because what's his name? He passed away too.
Harper did too. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Jeez, a lot of legends.
John Huber, I think is his real name. Yeah, that's so super sad. That's really sad. Wow.
Jeez, awful. All right, question 5. I know the whole concept of this is questions not about football, but Peter, I'm going to put an asterisk for this. Who do you have in your Super Bowl, and who do you have winning?
Oh my goodness.
Sorry,
that's really putting me on the spot. Let me think.
The Patriots over.
We won't clip this.
No, I can't say the Patriots, man. Like I like the Patriots this year, but
we won't clip this and put it on social media. We will. Today, August 25th. Who do you like? You can change 2 weeks.
All right. Yeah, no, because me and Noah will eventually do an episode.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
The season.
Things change.
The Bengals. Like I think they'll have a pretty damn good season. I think I have them winning the AFC North at 12 wins. Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, I know he's dealing with an injury right now, but I know I have a Trevor Lawrence ticket out there, but Joe Burrow could really, I think, have a monster season, and Jamar Chase could absolutely win the Offensive Player of the Year. And they've been like right there the whole time. Added Orlando Brown to the offensive line that really helps them out. And I don't know. I think they could definitely do it, but it's going to be the AFC especially is going to be a dogfight this year. There's a lot of teams I could see. So I don't know if that's my official Super Bowl pick, but
August 25th it is.
I don't know about NFC who's going to make it. Maybe the 49ers. Like,
all right.
Maybe that's what I got right now, but that might change. It might change.
The Packers.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but hey,
I was not expecting that question because I've been going back and forth with who I think. So today at this time, that's what I have.
All right, find out
Subject to change.
Yeah, find out what me and Peter's Super Bowl picks are next week. You like that, Peter?
Check out all the awards.
Yeah, next week, me and Peter will reveal our Super Bowl predictions along with our MVP picks, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, all that fun stuff. It's always a great show, and me and Peter, I think for sure have some differences here, so I'm looking forward to that. So Carr gave us his prediction for August 25th. And we will give it
subject to change. Put an asterisk on that.
TBD. Oh yeah. I'm not writing it in stone. We're not holding you to it. But all right, sounds good. Carr, thank you for coming on. Excited for college football this year, and we'll have you on real soon. Peter, catch you next week, and I better see your MVP ticket.
Oh, you'll see it. You'll see that in my Heisman.
And your UCF ticket.
Yeah, I need that.
No,
need
not
that.
that one.
Need that.
Not that one. Absolutely not.